Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's great to see you. Tonight, we will have two very interesting presentations for 5 minutes each. Dr. Eric Sandeen will speak about Heart Mountain and detention centers, and Ed Koncel will give us an in-depth overview of the coming data centers. There will be time for a couple of questions directly after their presentations. We will then open it up to anyone who would like to speak for 2 minutes. All speakers must fill out a yellow card and make sure that our moderator, Klaus, receives it. And every speaker will get a 30-second warning, and then you will hear the bell. PVA board here tonight includes Klaus, who will be our moderator. Jim Erdelli will be our roving mic person. Allie will be our timer when she gets here. And Jim and I and Sharon will herd the cats. PVA is a nonpartisan group conducting meetings to educate the local community on political issues, candidates, and other community events, charity and nonprofit groups in Albany County and the state of Wyoming. Just for your information, our next meeting on July 20th is Candidates Night. All primary candidates for Albany County will be invited to come and tell us why we should vote for them. Please pass the bucket during the meeting. Your donations are gratefully received. They go for our Zoom account, filing fees, the use of this building, and expenses. And before we get started, please find someone you don't know or don't know well and spend 2 minutes sharing what is new and good in your life. Thank you.
Are you in place?
Maybe not yet.
Glad I'm not old enough to know that song. How are you doing? Are you working on a lot of campaigns?
fundraising caps. Epson Center for Senior Pickup Days Saturday, 10 a.m. Centennial Valley Volunteer Fire Department's noon to 3 barbecue. It's their annual fundraiser Saturday in Centennial. I should be able to do it. I just did that.
Good evening and welcome to the June PVA meeting. Thank you for all coming tonight. We have the very good fortune of having two excellent featured speakers on two very current and hot topics. So I will ask this of this very kind audience. Please be kind, please be respectful, no personal attacks. It's okay not to like the answers you may hear, but let's be kind. So anyhow, I'm sure you all will, but it's an obligatory thing, I have to say it. So anyhow, please stay seated, and I look forward to you all having many, many questions for our candidates, not candidates, our featured speakers. That's next month, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Our featured speakers, so I believe you all are familiar with the format. I'll just repeat it and then we'll get started. So we'll have our two featured speakers. They'll each give a 5-minute presentation, and after each one is done, we'll take a couple of questions for each one of them. When they're both done, then we will open up the room to the multitude of 2-minute speakers that I have here. They will then each present their topic for conversation, and then we will let all of the 2-minute speakers go and present. When they're all done, then we will open up the cycle one more time for the 2-minute speakers for 5-minute speakers for questions, and then we will ask the 2-minute speakers any questions on their topics. So I'm sure you've all got this down pat. Quite a few of you have been here before. Thank you again for coming. And our first featured speaker is Eric Sandeen, talking about Heart Mountain Foundation and how what happened back then relates to what we're doing now to the immigrant community. Anyway, I'll let him talk about it. It's his topic. So anyway, be thinking about what Eric's saying and get some questions ready for him. If you want, you can have the mic down there. If you'd like to speak up here, you're welcome to do that. Okay. Is that all right? Is our sound and video guy okay with that? Podium. All right. You get to rest, though. Let's see, it's kind of nice. Put your arms there.
Next best thing to being in church, I suppose. Right. Right. So far, I'm reserving my time. Well, I thought I would come and talk to you about Heart Mountain internment camp up in northwest Wyoming, because in about a month, they will have their annual Heart Mountain pilgrimage, and I think it's particularly apropos at this very moment for reasons that I'll get to. For those of you who aren't familiar with Heart Mountain, it's one of 10 sites in the interior west mostly. There were two in Arkansas. 10 sites where Japanese Americans were incarcerated during World War II. About 115,000 of them between 1942 and the beginning of 1945. This is by Presidential Edict 9066, took effect in February of 1942, which said anybody can be taken out of the military zone, excluded from the military zone on the West Coast for any good reason that the Army could think of. It was only applied to Japanese Americans. So they were incarcerated because of they wore the face of the enemy. And many of them spent the full 2.5 years there in an environment. This is like 10,000 people between Cody and Powell, in an environment that was probably the only urban setting in Wyoming, certainly at the time, maybe still. 10,000 people jammed into barracks, the largest of which was 20 by 26 compartment. The reason I bring it up now is an obvious one about profiling and abrogation of civil rights, but it's more than just that. What went on at Heart Mountain is actually quite complicated, and it seems these days that the complications of history are not in favor in the U.S. And that's a big shame. For one thing, we have to deal with the kind of intergenerational trauma that's caused by mass events like the incarceration of Japanese Americans. There are about 300 people who come back to this pilgrimage, many of them from extended families of Issei, Nisei, Sansei, Yonsei, to deal with what went on at Hard Mountain. And I would say we're generating intergenerational trauma even as we speak. Another reason why Hard Mountain is important right now is that because of what it represented, it focused attention on, well, the circumstances of incarceration. Young men were drafted starting in 1943. Some of them went into the 442nd, which is the most decorated battalion in World War II. Congressional Medals of Honor, you name it, they got it. The largest trial of draft resistors also took place starting in Hard Mountain. 68 young men who refused to go because they didn't want to serve in an army that was guarding them and their parents. Seems like a reasonable idea. And these two very different constituencies have coexisted in the Japanese American community ever since. There are two exhibits that are highlighted right now up at the site, and one is for the 442nd, and one is for the Fair Play Committee, which is the draft resistors. And they're both important because they make complicated, complex, and contradictory ideas of belonging, patriotism, what you owe your country, that kind of thing. The wonderful people that I work with on the Hard Mountain Foundation, none of them is bitter. There's a good deal of determination that their story be told, but these people are patriotic Americans in a very broad sense of what patriotism means. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind because a great country doesn't have to declare its greatness all the time. The more you say you're great, the more insecure you are. And it seems to me we're dealing in a very insecure moment these days. There are a lot of people out there who are being excluded. And we can get into that afterwards, how it relates to the contemporary situation, but you really ought to go up there and see the place. It's really cool.
Don't take off yet. All right, thank you, Eric. So does anybody have any questions for Eric Sandeen about Hart Mountain Foundation, Immigrant Detention Centers? Anybody? Please raise your hand. Yes, right there. Hang on until you get the microphone. Jim's bringing it to you. Thank you.
How many lives were lost at the camp?
How many lives were lost? I should know that, but I don't. After the war, a lot of the remains were taken back, mostly to California. There are 3 or 4 graves that are still in the Powell graveyard, but I'm thinking 50, 60, something like that. The father of one of my board members died at Hart Mountain. The grandfather of one of my board members died at Hart Mountain because of lack of medical attention, which was a real problem.
Any other questions for Eric Sandeen? Don't be bashful. Anybody? Lisa, over in the corner.
Thank you. Hi, can you compare Hart Mountain to some of the detention centers they have today? Because I know Hart Mountain had good health, they had gardens, they had all sorts of amenities that the current ones don't, and I'm just wondering if you've done any comparison to what's going on in immigrant centers today.
Well, Hart Mountain was pitched to the incarcerees as a patriotic site. It was their patriotic duty to go into these camps for the duration. They didn't have any idea how long they would be there, but they knew it was going to be a long time. I don't know if the contemporary situation lends itself to that. There's a kind of indeterminacy. There's a kind of secrecy. There's a punitive regime today that was not explicitly true at Hard Mountain. One way of comparing the two, in fact, does emanate from the Japanese-American experience. I don't know if you have run across the Korematsu case. Fred Korematsu was one of the Japanese-Americans who refused to go into the incarceration system, and so he got hauled off to court because he didn't comply with the orders. This went all the way up to the Supreme Court. He lost, and so the ability of the government to take away your First Amendment rights and habeas corpus and all that was affirmed through Korematsu, which was immediately after the war condemned as one of the worst Supreme Court decisions of all time, right up there with Plessy Ferguson. Well, this existed in the law up until vestigially up until 2018, when during the Trump administration, the ability to incarcerate people because of where they come from or what they look like was adjudicated, and Trump actually won that one. But the corollary of that was that John Roberts said, we're going to consider the Korematsu case as a settled issue. It's no longer a precedent. So in a sense, the Korematsu case has helped out a little bit with the contemporary situation, which is horrible.
All right. Big round of applause for Eric Sandeen. Thank you, Eric. Well done. Oops. I think that's been moved a little bit too much. Anyhow, our next featured speaker is Ed Koncel, going to talk about data centers. And if there's one person in the PVA that can maybe out-talk me, it's Ed. So tighten up your shoelaces, get ready. He's going to launch. Come on up here, Ed. Spot up here for that.
Almost makes you not want to speak after an introduction like that, doesn't it? Thanks, Klaus. Yeah, my name's Ed Koncel, and 2 months ago, I asked a series of questions from everyone who attended the PVA meeting at that time. It was 2 months ago. And I was curious to know how much people knew about it, and as I got the questions more detailed, the number of hands went down significantly. So they asked me to come back and answer my own questions. That'll teach me. One of the things about data centers is, and the communities that are facing this are learning this, is if there's planning and design in advance, you can handle a lot of the problems that data centers create. 5 areas that George Mason University has identified. And George Mason was studying Virginia because Virginia has the most data centers. First is air quality. These centers affect air quality unless they're using green energy, and there has been a strong push away from green energy for the data centers. Microsoft, for one, signed multiple contracts with Chevron to use fossil fuels. Water, the quality and the quantity of water, and I could go on the entire 5 minutes on water alone. Data centers require vast quantities of water. And if you want to know just how much, I've got an article in front of me that can tell us that. Using recycled water seems to cut down on the amount that's used. This was recorded at midnight near a data center from a person's backyard. I don't know if you could hear it as loudly as I can up here. They posted it on Instagram Data centers run 24/7, 365. They have fans, they have all sorts of cooling equipment, air chillers, and a lot of them, and some of the ones over in Cheyenne are being fitted out with this. When the power is interrupted, they switch over to diesel generators. And we're not talking about one or two, we're talking about 20, 25 that are permitted over there, even the smaller ones that are in Cheyenne. Land use, community well-being, and wildlife also has been targeted as one of the problems because green spaces, rural communities, agricultural areas are the ones that are being sought after. The property is cheaper, and as long as there's electricity sources nearby, it's sufficient for the data center. Electricity, the usage is tremendous, 50,000 to 80,000 homes for one data center, and we're not talking about the biggest of the data centers, causing pressure on prices in addition to inflation and requiring data centers in advance to cover more of the grid costs or generate their own electricity, but then you got to worry about the air quality from how they do that. Those are just 5 of the things to pay attention to if you're thinking about data centers. I've brought some copies of a very good white paper that the Wyoming Outdoor Council put together. They're on the back table. If you get a copy of that, read through it, especially the suggestions they make on how these things should be addressed before they arrive in a community. What you can do, talk to city, county, state officials, find out what they know, because you're going to be surprised at how little it is when you talk to some people. Attend the EAC meetings. I've brought this up at EAC at their last meeting. City council meetings, county commissioner meetings, and I'm told that no one speaks out at the Planning and Zoning Commission meetings, so there's a nice place to try and get some regulations started by talking to them. Also, it's election season, so talk to the candidates. The white papers are back there. I've got a lot more here, but we just don't have time for it. 2 points I want to make before I wrap up. Seattle is the home of Microsoft. Microsoft is one of the biggest developers over in Cheyenne and elsewhere, and they just passed a moratorium for Seattle. That's pretty gutsy. Also, one thing I wanted to mention is the governor is aware of this and has issued an executive order, which is available online, or you can contact me and I'll send it to you.
Hold up.
I thought you were going to kick me off the stage.
No, you get to stay. You
Oh.
get to stay. Told you he could rival me. All right. There's a lot of information, a lot of things to be concerned about with data centers. I hope we have some good questions. Anybody want to raise their hand? Well, I saw Ken Chestek, and then I think Darren was second, so we'll do that. And if we have time, we'll get to Dennis.
Thank you, Ed. All good things to think about. I'm wondering, number one, what you think of the governor's order, because it does seem like there's some good policies in there. But I want to throw an acronym at you and see if you agree with the acronym and if that allays some of your concerns. The acronym is Beyonce. Bring your own new clean energy. Is that something that we should be working towards? And does the governor's order actually implement Beyonce?
Now you got to remember, I'm speaking personally tonight, even though I was given credit for being a member of the ARE group. I did a lot of field research on early nuclear plants when I worked for a consulting firm out of Dallas called GeoMarine. I almost got fired several times because of not being a proponent of the plants that we were doing the measurements for to see how they were affecting the environment. So I'm probably not the person to talk to about bringing your own nuclear energy. I have a big problem. Oh, I thought you said nuclear. Because there's a big push, you know, to hook several small nuclear units next to these. Oh. Sorry, Ken. The problem with that is, and it's not only Rocky Mountain Power, it's not only Microsoft, but the building of these is happening so fast that the pledges from Microsoft for green energy to run these within the next couple of years has been dropped. They signed extensive contracts with Chevron to run fossil fuels to power their data centers. They're not the only ones. Rocky Mountain Power's backed out of it for the next 5 years or so. No more new windmills or no more new solar installations on an industrial scale. And some of the biggest generators in the United States are backing out also. So yes, one of the ways of solving the air pollution problem is bring your own clean energy. The problem is the movement is away from that, in a hurry to get these things built and online and make profits. Sorry about the mistake there. Huh? Gave something away I shouldn't have.
Yeah. Aaron?
Ed, one of the things you didn't talk about that I've heard is a problem that impacts everybody is these man camps that come as part of the data centers. Can you talk a little bit about that and what the impact, how many people they bring, how long they're there, and what the impact on the community is?
You know, I haven't read that much about the man camps. They're almost kind of an afterthought. Stick people anywhere, and then when you run out of places to stick them, and we all know we've got a housing shortage here, so it'd be hard to find places to put people. They're kind of building those as an afterthought. But I don't have a lot of information on them. And this is one of the things you run into. And this is why it needs to be proactive approach on these and get regulations already started and get them in place, because these things, these problems sneak up after the construction is started. It's like the people found out how loud this one was, and the sound I played is right next to hundreds of residential homes. That's how close they put it. You got a lot of other effects too, but I can't really address it more than that. Transparency is one of the things the governor kept mentioning, and local control in his executive order, and it'd be nice to follow through on that. I know I didn't answer it, but that's
Close. Let's take one question from Dennis, and then we'll move to our 2-minute featured speakers.
I was just going to ask.
Again? I don't know. She didn't say.
I was just going to ask the question: what was the governor's order? So, what did the governor's order contain, or what did it say?
The governor's order, the executive order, that's quite a bit to answer all at once. He went through some of the problems that come up with it, and then he said that through the executive branch, he wants the executive branch within, it's either 60 or 90 days, to find where the weak spots are in Wyoming's laws that govern these, the locations of these, and to report back to him. He also wants them to make it certain that local control is established through city councils, through county commissioners, and everything. And this is a point that I haven't been able to get clarified, and I've tried several different approaches, and I don't know what the answer is and who to go to get it. But some people are saying the Industrial Siting Council preempts local control, and yet the governor in his executive order kept emphasizing the importance of getting local control over these things. And I have been told by one source that the Industrial Siting Council, when they cite these large projects, because there's a certain money level that they take over citing these, that they, the Industrial Siting Council will respect local ordinances. So someone who knows more about this than I do, it would be helpful if I got a clarification on that. Because it's been at different meetings, different comments on that.
Thank you, Ed. You need a hand with that, or you got it? A lot of stuff to digest there, a lot of things to think about going forward. So we will now move on to our 2-minute featured speakers, and Sharon Breitweiser is going to talk about county candidate forums. I'm sorry. I bet you these topics we just had will come up during those.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure folks were aware that the League of Women Voters and the Albany County Public Library are once again collaborating to have weekly candidate forums. It'll be 7 o'clock on Thursdays, and this Thursday, June 18th, is the first one. They'll run 7 consecutive weeks through July 23rd. This week's county commissioners. Next week is the city council. July 2nd will be county clerk, treasurer, coroner, district court clerk. July 9th will be our House candidates for the 4 House districts, 13, 14, 45, and 46. July 15th will be Secretary of State and State Treasurer. There's one Wednesday in here, thank you. Yeah, there's a 15th and 16th together for Secretary of State. Will be on a Wednesday, and then the following day they'll have Superintendent of Public Instruction. And then the Albany County Attorney and Sheriff will be the last one on the 23rd. If you can't make it to the public library at 7 o'clock, they will be live streamed on the public library website. They'll also be recorded so that you can watch them later, or if somebody says, oh my gosh, they talked about this, you can go and kind of speed through it and pick up the part that was most interesting to you. So I just printed this off from the League of Women Voters website today, and I've got a few copies of this I'll leave on the back table, but just wanted to make sure folks know about this. It looks like there, at least at this time, there's nothing for governor or for the U.S. Races. We have one candidate here tonight, but most of the other races will give you an opportunity to see how the candidates conduct themselves, listen to what they have to say about the issues, and if you're there in person, maybe even ask some questions. So thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Guess where I'm going to be Thursday. Anyhow, our next featured speaker is Eric Henderson from the Talk Shop. Wants to talk about Community Corner.
Thank you, Klaus. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. The Talk Shop would like to announce VFW 2221 post with their 250 America celebration caps. That is a fundraiser for that organization, and you can get those at the lodge at the post themselves. The Epson Center for Seniors Pickup Day is at 1560 North 3rd Street this Saturday, June 20th, 10 a.m. start. The Centennial Valley Volunteer Fire Department, noon to 3. They are having their fundraiser. It's a pig roast barbecue tradition that is in Centennial, Wyoming. And the Laramie Rifle Range boasts a robust schedule with a big event, which is June 27th, Public Access Day. And that's a 9 a.m. to 3:30 event. And happy Father's Day to everybody coming up where that is. And the Candidate Awareness Tour is underway with the Talk Shop. All candidates, all races, welcome to come, be invited. It's a complimentary occasion, and it's to send the voters to the polls informed. The best voter is an informed voter. And that's what I have tonight. Thanks. Oh, Tuesday market tomorrow, 3 to 6:30. There's themes all summer long through August 25th, every Tuesday at Ord and 7th.
Thank you, Eric. A round of applause for Eric. Thank you. Our next featured speaker is going to be Darren Wyatt, candidate for Albany County Sheriff. He always outdresses me. So jealous. I'll try to remember to bring a tie.
Hi, there's a couple things Eric didn't mention that are coming up next Saturday, or this coming Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st at the fairgrounds is the Wyoming Sportsman's Gun Show. I think from 9 until 3 both days. And then on June 27th, Vitavoo Fire is having their annual pancake breakfast as well. So I've been here a couple of times. I was asked if I got scared away because I wasn't here last month. No, I was actually in Southern Africa for 26 nights. What an experience. If anybody ever wants to do a safari for cheap, I can tell you how to do it, and it's an amazing experience. I'm not going to talk about a specific issue tonight because what I have recently has been kind of controversial. So what I want to tell you is that regardless of what personal opinions or feelings are, I will follow the law if I'm elected sheriff. The other thing I want everybody to know is that I am approachable. I'm not afraid to talk with people that I don't necessarily agree with or that don't agree with me. I'm very, very open, and I listen, and I want to come to a consensus, and I want to serve the community. So I think if anybody will reach out to me, there's actually somebody who, after one of my last speeches, posted a video saying that I was scary. I met with that person for 2 hours, and afterwards she said, "You're not really that scary," and we actually agreed on more things than we disagreed on. So if anybody is ever interested in meeting with me one-on-one or personally or in a small group, I'm more than willing to do that. I'd love to share about my past life experience, my past law enforcement experience, and hopefully let you know that regardless, my motives are pure, and my only agenda is to serve the residents of Albany County and promote positive public safety for our residents. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Darren. All right, our next 2-minute featured or 2-minute speaker, I will let him decide which one of his 2 topics he wants to discuss first, but Brett Glass. Want to do that one or want to do the other one?
Maybe I'll do this one, the other one first. Okay.
Well, whichever one.
Yeah, okay.
You want to do that one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll keep that.
Thank you.
It's not going to take me the full 2 minutes anyway. Okay, well, my name is Brett Glass, and I tend to monitor what goes on with the city and city council. And there's an interesting item on tomorrow night's agenda for the city council. It's the last item at the very end of the meeting. And it says here, due to an unforeseen catastrophic failure to one of the 2 boilers at the City Hall Annex location, facilities are in need of a resolution to replace the boiler for $70,000. Now, they have 2 boilers, and you don't always need 2 boilers unless it gets very cold. So one of the things that, since we're talking about energy and we're talking about renewable energy, one of the questions that I have for City Council is why aren't they considering supplementing their heating with something renewable, such as either photovoltaics or thermal solar? It might be worthwhile for City Council to at least discuss that before they approve spending $70,000 on a natural gas boiler. So those who are interested may want to know about that. So that's topic number 1 for the evening.
Thank you, Brett. All right. Excuse me. Our next speaker is Jessie Kohlhauer her topic is Wyo Gives. LRH. You didn't put that on here.
For those of you that don't know, I'm Jessie Kohlhauer with Laramie Reproductive Health. I'm the executive director. This is your annual reminder that Wyo Gives is happening on July 15th at 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. You can decide to be a match and give that money to a nonprofit of your choice, and they can advertise that on the site. Otherwise, the day of is when you would want to donate. Of course, I would prefer you guys donate to me, but if not, please, whichever nonprofit is in your lane, whatever you're passionate about. So this is just your reminder. Ooh, and you can also be a peer-to-peer fundraiser. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. All right. Our next 2-minute speaker is our candidate for Congress, Lisa Kinney. And her topic is life. Small little thing. I want to see you fit that into 2 minutes, Lisa. Take it away.
Hi, my name is Lisa Kinney. I'm running for Congress. The last time I was here, one of you asked if I was going to go ahead and run for an office, and I hadn't decided at that time, but I have now because I want to run for you. That's part of my slogan. And because now I have fire in me. I'll tell you what, we have the destruction of the rule of law. We're ignoring the Constitution. We've gotten rid of due process. So I'm running to take care of all these things. I'm an attorney and I want to work on that. I won't be quiet when the big beautiful bill, which is hurting Wyoming very much, I won't be quiet. I'm going to be running for you and stopping whatever I can. I was in the state Senate for 10 years, and during that time, I felt like I was a spy among senators because it was just me and all these senators around me. So what I did, I felt like a spy until the 10th year when somebody said something rude to me, and in my mind I said, do they know I'm a state senator? And then I slapped myself on the face and said, you are not running again because you're not going to fall into the kind of corruption that these senators and representatives are now doing by taking money and by thinking they're special. They're not special. You are special. The people in this audience are special. I just spent 1,000 miles driving through the state, and I looked at the beautiful public lands no one is taking away from us, and also looked at the people, and they're wonderful. So what I need to do is have each one of you get 5 people to get them registered, take them to the polls. And one other thing, my sister is running for me, and she sent cookies for you because we're all neighbors, and in this state, neighbors help neighbors. So thank you.
What doesn't earn your vote like free cookies, right? Thank you, Lisa. A return appearance, Brett Glass, going to talk about ham radio field day.
Thank you, Klaus. One more event announcement. On June 27th through 28th, the local amateur radio club is going to be conducting a field day. This happens the last week of June every year at the Laramie Rec Center. They're going to be setting up a pop-up outdoors, and if you have any interest, or you think that maybe your kids have some interest in learning how radios work, in talking to people around the country, around the world, this is your opportunity to get out there and do it. They will explain the equipment to you. They will put you on the radio and let you talk to people all over the globe. And well, this is just a really fun thing. They also tend to have a potluck dinner in the evening of field day to encourage people to stay and keep on communicating. So anyway, that's a fun event that I haven't heard announced. I don't think they publicize it well enough because it's a lot of fun. And if you're a techie like me, it's especially fun. So anyway, that's the other event for coming up for that weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. So one thing I've noticed being affiliated with multiple organizations is, and with government, we love acronyms. So I have one here, had to think about this one for a little bit. Our next speaker's Pam Brecken, and she put here topic, hoorah. So I thought she was gonna come up here and just, rah, rah, cheer, cheer, that type of thing. Then I remembered, home on the range. And then it's like, I don't know what AH is. Maybe it's home on the range and hostel, I don't know, hospital? I'm hoping she can clarify those last 2 letters of the acronym for me. So come on up, Pam. And hoorah.
Home on the range. Home on the range, Animal Haven. I have 2 quick things. We are also doing Wyo Gives on July 15th. It's a great opportunity to support all the nonprofits in the state. every little bit helps, and the Hughes Foundation is great because they match donations up to a certain point and give us a big boost, which helps all of our animals. Then I'm also pushing our annual summer fun raffle. This year, we literally have something for everyone. We have an e-scooter, we have football tickets, we have a patio heater, spa treatments, fishing rod and reels, a professional photo shoot. We have tattoos, we have oil changes, steak dinners, adult libations, dog training classes, cupcakes, flowers, gym memberships, massages, literally something for everyone. So if you can't find something you want in my prizes, tell me and I'll get it next year. The drawing is July 25th. You can get tickets at the Still or the Paddle House. You can get them online at laramiehomeontherange.org, or you can scan the groovy little code here on our poster that's in the back, and you can also give me a call. All the money we raise helps us feed and take care of our 17 animals that have been abused, abandoned, neglected. People have died. They've had a bad life before, now they have a great life out at Hoorah. So buy your tickets, donate to Wild Gives for everybody, and that's it.
Hoorah! I guess the Marines are coming now. Anyway, thank you, Pam. Our next speaker is going to be a dear friend of mine and our mayor, Sharon Cumby. Sharon's going to talk about the next work session and, I believe, data centers. Just to follow up with the theme, I guess.
Good evening. And to follow up with Ed's presentation and a current concern not only of our community but our nation about how quickly these are going up. City Council, we're attempting to get scheduled with the County Commission, but we have scheduled our work session for August 11, and that would be on a Tuesday. And I believe there will be a number of people, so please make sure and look for the location because we might need to have it out at the North Campus. What we're trying to do is a deep dive. We want to look at the definition. What are data centers? Number two, the scale. We've had data centers in Laramie for over 20 years. They're tiny, they're micro. Anyone that does computing or big storage has data centers. The university has them, the city has them. They're in like a small office size. They do have to be extra air conditioned. We want to look at the pros and the cons, risk, benefits, the current code that the city and the county have, the desired standards and limits that the community has. We want to think about community protection, aquifer protection, environmental protection. We know that it's not only about energy and water, it's about heat, it's about sound, it's about wildlife, and it's about our community well-being. So let's look at this, and we're not going to be able to ban all data centers because we do need the micro and maybe, up to a certain size, but we need to determine what we're willing to do, and we need the county because chances are if they get larger, they're going out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, and I'm sorry, Dennis, but you're our next featured speaker, our 2-minute speaker. And I'm sorry because these steps are terrible for Dennis. I will.
Initial report from our consultants on July 6th at the hospital. So that's Monday, July 6th, 4 p.m. And it'll be in the conference room down close to the cafeteria, and I'll have an announcement in the paper. I'll do a letter to the editor and outline what the consultant's reports are about. But this first consultant report is to look at the demographics and see what the need in the community would be. How many beds do you need for a nursing home going forward? And so we have kind of an initial draft report we're talking to the consultants tomorrow about. But it's kind of funny when you look at it. I've told people there's no shortage of old people in the community. And there's getting to be more. And it's just because of my generation, the baby boom generation. So I'm at the front of the baby boom generation. But it'll go on for another 10 or 11, 15 years. And each of those years, there will be more seniors who will be in that position where they'll need long-term care. So we'll get a report about how many beds and how many rooms we have and what's the opportunity. And then the decision will be that night to decide whether to go forward and talk how much it would cost to build a new nursing home to replace the existing nursing home. And so it'll be a good, interesting conversation, and I'll outline it in a letter to the editor. But mark July 6th on your calendar at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it should be a nice meeting. And it really helps to have all of the community members come and look at us elected officials, the Board of Trustees and the Board of Directors, and say what they really want for the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Dennis. So again, thank you to Dennis. Appreciate him for navigating the steps. Our last 2-minute speaker is another one of our city councilors and a good friend, Aaron O'Doherty, and I'm not sure I quite understood the topic, declaration, is that what it is? All right. Come on up, Aaron.
As we know, we're celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and we all know the part about the king and, you know, throwing away a tyrant. But I just want to stress to everybody that last line, because that was brought to my attention at a National League of Cities meeting, and I thought, oh, you know, I never really thought about that part. But the last line is, and for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance, and it makes me cry, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I think the mutually pledge thing is really beautiful, and how scary it must have been to be one of the signers and to say like they're willing to risk their lives for their fellow Americans, and I think that's what we should all aspire to. Thanks.
Thank you, Aaron. Now let's continue. A round of applause for all of our great speakers tonight. So we've heard a whole bunch of great speakers, whether they be 5-minute or 2-minute, excellent topics. So I'm sure you all have your questions figured out and you're ready to go, right?
Yeah, just
Yes.
an extra thing, Klaus. Yeah, we did get a late start today, unusually, for the sound system and other stuff and so forth. So our meetings for you new folks run 7 to 8. We'll probably run 8:15, 8:20. Don't panic. So in light of that, keep the questions concise and the answers concise. Thanks. Okay. Klaus?
Yes, thank you, Jim. All right, so we'll start at the top again with Eric Sandeen and the Heart Mountain Foundation. Any questions for Eric? Looks like we've got one, so Eric, you're gonna have to come up here. Sorry. I know.
People who need to stay below, just Klaus will give you the mic and stay on the lower step. You're already on camera anyway at once, so, okay, all right.
My question is, did they separate families in the Japanese internment camps like they are doing now?
Depends on what you mean by family. Nuclear families, no, but Japanese American families are intergenerational. So the Issei, the ones who were born in Japan, were generally separated from the Nisei and the kids. And sometimes there were too many kids. So you would have adjoining, each of the barracks had 6 compartments, 3 different sizes. So sometimes they weren't together. Most often they were, but there's been a lot written, even at the time, about what this experience did to Japanese American family structure and family authority. So it's quite a traumatic event. Could I just add one more thing? If you go to Hart Mountain, be sure to see the root cellar, a gigantic spud barn. It's like 12 or 14 log cabins buried together underground. It's 100 yards long. They produced over 1 million pounds of food a day. That's one big difference between then and now. They were working. They fed themselves, and they also supplied some of the other camps.
Do we have another question for Eric? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to our next speaker that presented, Ed Koncel. Any questions for Ed about data centers? Right beside you, Jim. Eric.
Ed, thank you. My question revolves around the prescriptive agreements. Have you seen one of these documents that is exemplary for consideration across America, as discussed in the ARE group?
You're talking about, let's see, what are they called? They're called community. They're called community benefit agreements. And this is one way of making sure that a community gets something very positive from the locating of a data center or other large construction type of facilities. And that is, you sit down, get a community group together, and you sit down with the developers, and you have them agree to certain things that they will provide to the community. And someone asked about the man camps, and one of them is to provide adequate housing for all the workers that are involved with the projects. Some of the other things, donations to community projects, establishing funds for things like renewable energy in the community. These are things that come up that can be negotiated in advance so that you have a written document holding them to it. A lot of agreements are being made verbally. I'm a real fan of those, actually, but they don't work in business settings the way they did growing up on the farm. So, a little different.
One more question for Ed? Anybody? Lisa?
As part of what I'm doing as I run is to have fireside chats. And I have a fireside chat we're going to be recording on the 17th, putting on YouTube. And it has Dave Coffey, who's an engineer here in town, also Larry Wolf, who's a city councilman over in Cheyenne, and a man who's worked on those, and it'll probably be about half an hour long, and we're going to just look at the scientific results of, and all the, analyze what's going on, look at moratoriums, look at fees, look at the noise, all of these issues that you brought up, so it should be kind of good.
Good.
Thank you for that, Lisa, but let's try to stick to questions. So, thank you.
Questions, please.
Yes.
You're throwing me off, right?
You're off.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you. Jim wants to get out. So, our next presenter was Sharon Breitweiser. I'm not sure there's too much more that can be said about candidate forums, but if anybody has any questions for Sharon, this is the time. Seeing none, I will move right on. Our next presenter was Eric Henderson. He covered a lot of topics. If there's any questions for Eric, now is the time. Moving on. Our next presenter was Darren Wyatt, candidate for Albany County Sheriff. Any questions for Darren? We have a question for Darren.
Do you have any initial opinions about whether or not to work with ICE in Albany County?
I do. And as one of the controversial things I had talked about before, and my position right now is that we need to cooperate with ICE when it comes to ICE detainers. And what that means is it's different than a 287G agreement like what's going on in Cheyenne. So if a person is arrested for a violation of state law and they're in custody and there is an ICE detainer, it's a request to hold that person for an additional 48 hours so that ICE can come and take custody of them. Currently, this sheriff's office is the only sheriff's office in the state of Wyoming that is releasing those people back into the community. I see the hands clapping back there, but what you don't realize is that when he does that, they send a task force from Cheyenne to come over and rearrest that person in an uncontrolled environment where there's much more likely to be a use of force or interference or something that is going to cause a problem rather than just doing a transfer from one custodial facility to another, okay? So Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, when he first was appointed to the position as Secretary of DHS, said that what he would like to see is he would like to see ICE go back to what they were designed to be, which is a transportation agency. They were never designed to be going out and doing field enforcement like what's happened in all of these other places, Minneapolis and across the country, where you're seeing these conflicts, and it's because they were never trained to be put into that position. So if you're doing a straight transfer from a custodial facility to a custodial facility, I believe that that will reduce that. So that's my position on that. I have not said that I will sign a 287G agreement. I do not believe that local law enforcement should be enforcing immigration laws in the community. I think that we need to establish trust with those people. But if a person is arrested for a violation of state law, is in custody, and there is an ICE detainer, I believe that we should assist and facilitate that. Now, I do believe, and current case law facilitates that. I do believe that that will ultimately end up in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and they'll make the decision, and I'll follow the law. Okay.
Thank you, Darren. Well, we're cruising up to the time limit that Jim sent, so I want to give every other featured speaker or 2-minute speaker an opportunity to have a question asked. And in the name of time, Brett Glass did have 2 topics. I'm going to combine both of those right now. If you have a question for Brett Glass about ham radio field day or the boiler, this is the time to raise your hand. Seeing none, I will continue on. Jesse Kohlauer from LRH talked about WYO Gives. Anybody have any questions about the benefit to donating to nonprofits? We do have a question, Jesse.
Yes, those of us who are retired.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We want to make sure our audience at home can see Jesse's answer as best as possible.
Those of us who are retired have IRA accounts, and the only way we've been able to donate to nonprofits has been by credit card. Is there any way we can use the money that we have in our IRA accounts to contribute by check?
There are 2 options where you can do an ACH or credit debit. It's a direct transfer basically from your bank account, where you would have to enter bank account information. You can do IRA distributions to nonprofits, but specifically for WYO Gives, it's very specific that you have to do it online. What I would recommend, if you want to do an IRA distribution like that and you want it to go towards WYO Gives, send it to whoever the nonprofit is of your choosing, and they can use it at least as a match. Yeah, your dollar goes farther that day.
Thought you were going to break out into a song there. Yeah. All right. Our next speaker was Lisa Kinney. Anybody have any questions about her presentation? Seeing none, we'll move on to Pam Brecken and Home on the Range. Any questions for Pam? Also an organization you can donate to on Wyoming Gives. Our next speaker was Sharon Cumby, talking about the work session, specifically on data centers. Any questions for Sharon? All right, Jim, we're getting close to meeting your time limit. All right. Oh, thank you. Sharon, come on up.
Hi, Mayor. You mentioned trying to work with the county. Have they been responsive in working together with the city on this issue?
I have spoken with two commissioners, Thad Hoff and Pete Gosar. And so the next step is to write a formal email to their chair, Terry Jones. And I just have not run into Terry. And so we will make a formal request tomorrow if that wasn't already made today. And I think it's really important that we all get together because there are opportunities for the county to receive some much needed funds, especially if we receive a tax reduction, but we have got to do it mindfully and to protect our environment and our way of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. It's okay, you can clap. All right, our next speaker was Dennis Cook. And Dennis, you can stay seated. Does anybody have a question for Dennis? Not seeing any. We'll move on to our last of the 2-minute speakers, Erin O'Doherty, and her very emotional line from the Declaration of Independence. Anybody got any questions? Go ahead and ask her anything about the Declaration. She's got that thing memorized. Seeing anybody's hand? I do not. All right. I was hoping I could sneak to my phone before we got to the end of this. Let's give our speakers and you a big round of applause for coming out tonight. So next month, as you heard, will be our candidates night. I want to invite all the candidates that are here and the ones that aren't, and hopefully listening at home, to show up for whatever office, whatever party you may be. This is the opportunity to come and speak to your community, your friends and neighbors. Do not miss this opportunity. There's not enough of them, in my opinion, during the election season. And it's important that our voters be informed, they know what the issues are, and they get the candidates to answer their questions. Because at the end of the day, everybody running for office works for all of us. And if they can't take the time to talk to us, do they really deserve your vote? Think about that. Anyway, hang on.
Regarding candidates tonight, every candidate, according, I guess, to the Board of Elections, every candidate will be personally contacted with an invitation to attend that. So, you know, yeah.
Yes. And what I wanted to look at on my phone was, what is that? It is July, what's the number?
20th.
July 20th, the third Monday of the month. Just to keep it easy for everybody, it's always the third Monday of the month, 7 p.m. right here at the wonderful UUFL. I want to thank you all again for coming. Hope you've enjoyed this meeting. I hope you've learned something. And I hope you've got questions for the candidates in your mind for next month's meeting. And again, thank you. One round of applause, last round of applause. Have a good evening. Enjoy the week.